All right, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you very much for coming to Ignite. I really do appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedules and away from your families to join us and all of our partners here at Ignite. Everything that we're building here today is delivering to try and make your lives easier and the lives of your users easier as well. So today what I'm going to be talking about is security as it relates to Outlook Mobile on iOS and on Android. So essentially this journey started about 3 years ago when we built the Outlook Mobile application. First of all, we moved over to the Microsoft Cloud, done. Then we integrated the Azure Active Directory, done. And then we integrated the Intune SDK for MAM protections, or rather app protection policies. And then also we have MDM protection policies as well. What we have is an extraordinarily sophisticated app. 85% of the code your customers or your users will never see. But it's extraordinarily important, 85%, because that's where the security actually lives. But it's the 15%, the user experience, that is going to be really important for your users as you're thinking about increasing productivity, moving forward with digital transformation, and ensuring that they have an awesome experience and being as productive as they can as they move forward. As I've been talking to various different customers, we understand the challenges that you're having as you are migrating users off of a native Android or a native iOS app to move over to Outlook Mobile, where they are more secure because they are used to the experience that they have with the native mail app. They're not as familiar with Outlook Mobile as they should be. And then the other part of it is, as well, as soon as you start mentioning security, your users start thinking about all of the hoops that they'll probably have to jump through to get to the work that they need to get done. Today, my job is to provide you some ideas about why that type of experience, they shouldn't have those expectations, that as they move to Outlook Mobile, as it's protected by Intune, MDM, and app protection policies, that they are going to have a fantastic experience, that they're going to be able to use the apps that they love. So here we have an image of a user that not only represents the expectations of a particular user or their context, very busy, on the go. They want to have access to their digital assets in real time wherever they are. They want to be secure as well. That's what this story actually represents here. But also what we want to be able to ensure is that, again, as the user is out on the go, in their commute, at a cafe, as they're using the tools and the services that you're pushing out there as you undergo your digital transformation, that they have access to the apps and they're as productive and as happy as possible. As I talk to customers over and over again, they're not only looking to save costs, but be more productive, but also ensure that their users are happy in producing and being as productive as they possibly can be. And this is where Outlook really steps in. It is the #2 app in the productivity category on the App Store. And it's all built off of 4 strong pillars that we have. First of all, intelligence. We know that your users are extremely busy. They're attention and deficit starved. So we want to reduce the cognitive load of your users as they're using the app so they can immediately find the person that they're looking for, the attachment that they've just been asked for to reference in a meeting, or meetings that are about to come up, or a flight that they're about to check into. That's all intelligence that's built in throughout the app. Here we're showing it in the new search experience that we released just a few months ago. The calendar. Your users are extraordinarily busy. They need to keep organized, and they shouldn't have to keep things in their head or have things across multiple different endpoints to understand how their day looks, what they need to prepare for, who they need in a particular meeting, or who's available. Again, a tremendous amount of intelligence has been built in with a glorious user experience, so your users can keep organized as they go forward. Absolutely seamless O365 integration. I'll be showing different demos here as a user is able to start with Outlook Mobile, move into Word, save things in OneDrive, go seamlessly through these various different workflows. Not only is it seamless and effortless, but it's also secure. That's a key thing, and that's represented over there by our 4th pillar, which is security. Again, as I mentioned, 3 years ago, we started integrating the Intune SDK. Since that time, we've been refining both from a user experience perspective, but also a performance perspective as well, to ensure you've got the controls that you need to make sure that everybody from your C-suite all the way down to your frontline users are secure and productive. But again, this user experience is awesome. So this is a very, very high level perspective on what we have built into not only the Outlook mobile application itself, but the services that we're hitting on the back end. Now we've got a breakout session that's going to be tomorrow, and I'll give you reference to that at the end of this deck. That's going to go a deep dive into all of these different services and architecture. But from a high level, what we have here is, first of all, is your Active Directory. That's where you actually ensure that your user is trusted. You're using multi-factor authentication to make sure that the person who is accessing your service is the person that they say they are. Next, we have managed mobile device management. This is where you want to be taking control of the device itself to ensure you've got certain limitations are placed upon that device and how it is used. We then have the app protection policies, and this is where we're talking about hitting up a service, looking at the policies, i.e. what you are enabling your users to do in a particular context, and ensuring again that they are as productive as possible, but as safe while they're doing it. Oh. So let's get this movie going. Sorry for the hiccup there. So let's start at the very beginning. The Azure Active Directory with the ADL library integrated into Outlook. This is your front door. This is where you need to be ensuring, again, that the user who is accessing the service is who they say they are. That's where the multi-factor authentication comes in. Okay, that's super, super important to get that being used by your users right off the bat. The other key thing that's actually a benefit to your users is this single sign-on capability. And as you'll see with the various different demonstrations I'm going to be showing, this enables that not only is that user authenticated, but as they go through their workflows, or as they install new apps such as Word, Excel, PowerPoint, that they're able to do that as seamlessly as possible. We don't want your users to have to input their username and password every time that they want to use a particular app. They should be able to go through their flow as quickly as possible. And here, as you can see with the video, it's extremely simple to actually get signed on, do the MFA, but then once you've actually provided the password once, they never have to enter it again until the token that's been received from the Active Directory, the Azure Active Directory service expires, and then they need to re-up it. But once they've got that token, the password is never used, it's never passed over the line, over the wire, and SSO is enabled seamlessly. Okay, this just isn't working. There we go. What I'm going to be showing you is all of these demonstrations is in the most restricted scenario possible. It's probably a scenario that you're not going to be using with your users, but the reason why I'm demonstrating that is I want to show you the user experience in a most restricted mode, because it still enables that user to have a glorious experience, an awesome UX, and they're able to be extremely productive. So here what we have is for highly regulated users. Now these would be in institutions that are highly regulated. You've got a tremendous number of compliance restrictions on those particular users. Maybe it's your C-suite where you're handing out corporate-owned devices. Maybe it's your legal department or somebody in your finance department. Or maybe if you're in a financial firm, maybe it's your traders, okay? So these are users that are not allowed to add their personal account. Now with Outlook Mobile, without this restriction, they can add the Outlook.com account. They can add their Gmail account or the Yahoo account. That's fine. We perfectly allow that and enable that through the settings you have control over. But this is a situation where it's highly regulated and they're only got access to the corporate account. That's all they're able to add with O365. The other key piece I want to emphasize is that you will be showing off, let's see if I can, this doesn't seem to be working at all. There we go. As with this highly regulated user, you want to ensure that they're authenticating or using a PIN every time that they open up the app. That's a setting that you control. It can be 4-digit, it can be 6-digit. Here we're showing a very simple 4-digit. The other piece is, as your users are receiving links, now those could be links to internal services. They could be links to external websites as well. You want to ensure that as somebody sends them a link, let's say it's your HR department. Your HR department sends somebody a link to fill in an expense report, or maybe it's to provide an evaluation on a colleague. You want to ensure that the data that is provided by that service is not then able to copy and paste that to an external source. Now, they may be doing that because they want to exercise a particular workflow that they're used to, and they just want to use an app that they're used to, but it's not secure. You don't want people's social security numbers going outside, or you don't want your own PII going outside, your own intellectual property. The other key pieces as well is, as your employees are working with your customers, you want to protect their information as well, and that's why you want to be using a managed browser. So as this flow that we demonstrated here is extremely quick and easy for somebody to get a link. We check that they need to be using a managed browser. They download that managed browser. Through SSO, they're immediately able to initialize that managed browser, move on their way. Again, in a matter of seconds from a cold install, they're being extremely productive. The other key piece that I want to be able to emphasize is advanced threat protection. So as you've heard in many presentations in the keynotes that happened earlier on this week, Microsoft is looking at trillions of signals on a regular basis to understand exactly what threats are out there and to protect against them. Here we're talking about safe links. So what happens is a link is being sent to you by a colleague or a friend, that goes up to our service and we check it. Is that a malicious link? If it is, then we give you a warning. If it isn't, then we send you on your way and you're able to complete your workflow. So again, all of this is within a protected environment, and this is using the managed browser that we make available through EMS, but this is also available through Edge as well. Okay? The other key piece here is, it's quite astonishing as we're talking to some customers. We didn't think of this scenario until we actually engaged with some of you folks. We have salespeople, support people, field representatives. They will take information from customers or prospects as they're engaging with them, and they'll drop that into the notes field of contacts. And it could quite literally be account numbers, passwords, social security numbers, and other, like I say, PII, very important confidential information, and drop it into the contacts within Outlook Mobile. What we do is, through the controls that you have, we restrict the exportation of those particular fields to the local address book. And that's very important, like I say, to ensure that you're not only protecting your own data, but you're protecting your customers' data as well. You don't want to expose yourself to that liability. Again, this is completely controlled by yourselves. Now, when a user does export their contacts to the local address book, they pull up the address book, they look up John Smith, and they see in there a link that can take them to the contact within the Outlook Mobile application, and from there they can get access to the information they're expecting to see. But to ensure that they don't think that something's broken, they're missing some information they could have sworn they put into a contact, we just give a little reminder in that it's okay, this information is not available in the local address contact book, or words to that effect. That's very important for them to understand, okay, this is information that is able to access through Outlook Mobile, so I can go on my way. But it also reinforces the message to your users that you are out there for them. You're protecting them. You're protecting their own workflows, their own information, and that of the customers and yourselves. Is it going? There we go. The other key piece here is copying and pasting. So we do this all the time as we're working through our everyday, trying to accomplish a goal, get something done. Somebody asks you for a particular information. It could be a quote of something. It could be any sort of information. And we're often moving in between apps to make sure that our colleagues can keep productive themselves with the information that they need. Again, if you do this when you're outside of the O365 ecosystem and the other applications that you have control over, that can open your CFO, CIO, CEO to potential issues in exposing intellectual property. So here what we're demonstrating here is not only the smooth passage as somebody goes from Outlook Mobile into Word that wasn't initialized and installed. So SSO enables them to get hold of Word. Then what we're doing is we're hitting a backend server and saying, okay, this is a managed app. You want to download those app protection policies. Those app protection policies are downloaded. Word is restarted, relaunched. Those application policies are applied. And then what I'm able to do is go into Word and copy a particular set of text. I then go into Outlook Mobile and can very clearly see that I paste it into Outlook Mobile and everything's fine. I can easily move on my way, sending off that email to my colleague. If I try to do the same thing into the local notes application, I'm blocked from doing that. for a very good reason, because you don't want, again, that confidential information going outside of the protection boundary that you've set up. Again, all of this flow happened from a cold start with Word. So again, as your user kind of, well, security is going to be hard to use, it's going to mess up with my workflow. No, it isn't. It's going to keep you protected. You're going to be able to use the apps that you love, and we're going to ensure that you're able to go and be productive and move as quickly as you can through your recognized workflows. For the benefit of time, I'm just going to skip over this. The slide deck is going to be available online. The other thing that I wanted to touch on is phishing attacks. This is, again, why that just doesn't go. There we go. So we see in the press, your C-suite in particular, they're highly valuable targets, okay? Everybody knows their name. They can work out what their email address is. They are being targeted by phishing attacks on a constant basis. This is where advanced threat protection through O365, Microsoft 365 protects your most valuable people and your not only the intellectual property you have within your company, but also your brand as well. You don't want to end up front page news. So what we do here is, again, as we look at the different types of people that individuals are actually emailing and interacting with, the email address and the source that it's coming from, we can present out to the user that this is somebody that you don't usually talk to, you don't usually interact with, or it's an email address, or it's a pattern within the content of the email that we've already analyzed and detected that this is something that is probably a phishing attack. We throw up the warning that is shown right there to say, hey, you probably want to double check before you click on any of these links. We're also familiar with the fact that, if I ask my mother what a phishing attack is, she'll say, first of all, you spelt it wrong. People aren't very familiar with what phishing attacks actually are. So you've got a link in there that you can click over, and we can give some more background to, again, keep your users aware of security challenges that are out there and keep them informed about the latest threats that are there while we're actually protecting them. So those are some of the features that we have already in the app today. They're already part of the EMS, MDM, app protection policies, and the Azure Active Directory feature set. Very, very quick breeze through showing all of these different workflows, emphasizing the fact that by applying these policies, your users will be protected, and your users are going to have an awesome email and calendar experience. These are some features that are going to be coming on next year. Some customers are using S-MIME for S-MIME certificates, and also encryption as well. We're still working on the user experience and the user interface. So this is a highly subject to change. It's something that we're building right now. We'll be rolling out next year. So that's going to be available coming in the new year. And then something else that we're very excited, we're building right now, and again, it's going to be available later on. That's classification, labeling, and protection through the Azure Information Protection or the Microsoft Information Protection product. What that enables you to do, or will enable you to do with Outlook Mobile, is for your customers to look at the particular email they're about to send, whether it's in a reply or something they're composing right off the bat, and be able to assign a particular category. Is it confidential? Is it secret? Is it generally available? Or is this something that can be public? Because when it comes down to it, your users don't want to have the cognitive load thinking about, okay, where can I send this information? Who do I have to be aware of? Can I send it to John, but I can't send it to Mary? If I send it to John, do I want to limit him so he's not able to forward it on to Mary, for example? This is where classification, labeling, and protection comes in. All they need to know is that this is highly confidential, top secret information. They attach that label, and we take care of everything else. We have the rules that you actually set up as IT pros in the back end and say, okay, if it is top secret, you can't forward it, and only those recipients are there, and they can only reply, and they can only reply to all. You set up those rules, we take care of everything else. Your user only needs to have an awareness themselves about the sensitivity level of a particular email and attach that label. They'll attach that label to the email and the attachments which it'll inherit if it's a higher level of security, and they'll go on their way knowing that they're secure and they've done the right thing by the company. This is, Vince, this is for you. THR3112R, that's where you want to go tomorrow. So I've gone over this in a very cursory manner, focusing on the user experience. My good friend Ross, he's going to be doing a deep dive in all of the different technologies that I talked about and touched on. He's going to be talking about Intune, MDM, and app protection policies. He'll talk about Azure Active Directory. He'll talk about the architecture upon which Outlook Mobile sits. Okay, and it'll also touch on the user experience as well. So definitely go along there. You're going to learn a lot, and ask him for questions afterwards, because he's a fountain of information. As you're thinking about how to move your users forward, so I would say on average about 20 to 30%, or maybe even all of your users are already on Outlook Mobile already. For those that aren't, these are steps that you need to go through to actually start moving and migrating your users over to Outlook Mobile, to ensure that your users are trusted, your data is trusted, and the apps that they are using are trusted as well, to have a completely secure environment using Outlook Mobile, Intune, and EMS. And here are some more resources for you. Again, all of these links are going to be available on the deck, on the website. You've got access to our roadmap. You've got access about GDPR for not only our European customers, but this is a standard that is being run out through our customers throughout the world. Very, very important. We've invested tremendously to ensure that Outlook Mobile is GDPR compliant. And of course, there's the mobile app that you can get, the Ignite mobile app, to find all of the rest of the show, the exhibits, and the presentations that are being given. I'm going to be hanging around here for a little bit while, but thank you very much for your attention. If you've got any questions, please shout out. Any questions, anybody? Yes?
Is there a plan to move away from saving contacts to syncing contacts
on iOS? So the question was, is there a plan to move away from saving contacts to syncing contacts? The short answer to that is yes. The challenge that we have right now, that some of you are aware, is there are constraints around how the address book is managed and accessed, constraints that are stipulated by the operating system. So we're working with our friends over at Apple to make sure that we can open that up somehow. So those conversations are ongoing, and we hope to have that available at some time in the future. But yes, we're working on that quite diligently. Yes? No, you do not need MDM policies to use app protection policies. We call that app protection without enrollment. So you can use MDM from a third party and use Intune app protection policies from us, and they'll work perfectly together. So I've already got the hook, but I'll be over here if you've got any questions, so we can take those offline. All right? Again, thank you very much.